Hello everybody! So how ready is your website meta description for SEO strategies? This is Stef from Samayas and welcome to my channel. So this video is part of a series of SEO strategies wherein we look first at the definition of what we can do and then dig in with .NET. So as a developer, we all know the basics of HTML. Right? But what do search engines really read on a website and what is important? So everybody, of course, knows the meta tags, right? Those are just header tags and they're there just for information. Some trigger actions, but most are just metadata. The meta description tag is there to offer a concise summary of your page. It doesn't appear at all on your page visually, but it's displayed as a snippet beneath your page search results. The meta description tag is not really a defining factor for ranking. However, it significantly impacts the click-through rate, which indirectly influences your SEO performances. Think of your meta description as your web page's elevator pitch. This is often the first interaction potential visitors have with your website. And of course, search engines monitor how users interact with search results. When your meta description is enticing enough to generate clicks, it signals that your page is relevant and engaging and might potentially improve your ranking. How should a meta description be composed? Guidelines: your meta tag should be around 150 to 160 characters long. This ensures your entire message is displayed on a Google search result. You do need to include keywords, but this is not a replacement for the keyword tag. And so this should include natural language that explains what your site is doing. When a user searches, Google bolds matching keyword in your meta description, making your results stand out visually. But you should avoid keyword stuffing in this tag. This also advises to use action-oriented languages like discover or get started, etc. Put the most important information again in the front, and have a unique message per page. And of course, something very important, your meta description and your page content should match. Part of the rules for your titles of course applies here. So try to incorporate relevant keywords naturally into your meta description. When user searches, Google bolds matching keyword in the meta description, creating a psychological trigger that grabs your eye and signals relevance. So when looking at natural keywords, a good sample might be: learn clean URL structures best practice with real example. Discover how to create SEO-friendly URLs that improve ranking and user experience. Quite a bit, right? However, a bad sample might look like this: clean URLs, clean URL, structure SEO URL, SEO friendly URL, best URL, URL optimization, clean URLs, best practice URLs for SEO. URL, URL, URL. You get the point, right? Also, when building your title, try to use call to action slogans. Again, a little bit the same thing as with the title. A number of samples are like: learn how to, discover, find out, get starting, etc., etc. What are the things you shouldn't do? Well, first, always have a meta description and never skip that or have a blank meta description. Never copy a meta description from page to another page and have the same meta description for two different pages. Don't stuff that description with only keywords. Don't go over the length of 160 characters long, otherwise it might be cut off. Also, avoid using meaningless descriptions that don't really tell the user what this page is all about. And don't write misleading description where the page and the description content don't match. Now, how can we correctly use a meta description in code in .NET Core? Let's dig in. So now I've created a new ASP.NET Core MVC application. I've called it Basic Meta Description. Now this time I haven't really created it new, but I continued on my previous basic title. For those who haven't seen that, the first modification I've made was to rename my models to my view model directory. And then I displaced and renamed my error model to an error view model. And next I created a base view model. And the base view model is an abstract class with a constructor which takes two parameters. It already takes title, and next to that it also takes a meta description. And then it has two properties, title and meta description, which technically can be just getters, but in this scenario I've left the setters. Next off, I have a home view model, which is an implementation of my base view model, which just passes the parameters along. Depending on your type of application, you might have one view model per controller. Or you might even have multiple view models for one controller. Or if you have a simple application, you might just have one base view model for the entirety. That's up to you. Now that we have created the basic plumbing, and now the implementation is done in the home controller. For my index and my privacy action now, I pass a home view model. My home view model has two parameters. The first parameter is a title parameter and the second parameter is my meta description parameter. For simplicity here, it's still quite short and it should normally be between 150 and 160 characters long. I've clearly made the effort, but very basic, to have a distinct meta description, and that's it. And now of course, this is used in our layout. Out of the box, our default layout doesn't even have a meta description. So the only thing we need to do, first we need to make sure that we have a model and that it's a base view model which applies to all view model classes, and be sure that in those base view model, each of the properties are accessible. Since our layout is shared amongst all pages, we must have a basic view model with everything necessary in this page that can be accessed. Otherwise, it won't work. And so next to the title, I just have my meta description and I access my model meta description. And that's it. Now do pay attention that for this to work, I also had to modify my error view model to also inherit my base view model. Because otherwise, the moment we enter an error page, this might fail because it's not part of the base view model. Now let's have a simple run. And of course, it's a meta tag. So at first sight, we don't see anything. So we need to do view source. And here now we have our meta description. If I now go to my privacy page and I do view source again, well, it's slightly changed. And so now I have my privacy page meta description. Very simple, right? Now compared to a default ASP.NET MVC, which uses view data for our title, technically we could use the same trick for a meta description. Me personally, I prefer to have everything centralized in my home controller so that either this information might come from a context database somewhere or from a resix resource file, for instance, under properties. But again, that's up to you. Now, it's just up to you to find the right solution for your fits and needs and come up with some creative meta descriptions page per page. If you guys enjoy this content, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel and hit the bell sign. Or leave a comment down below.